Only on Way 31 News, 35 years later, a killer of a police officer convicted and sentenced to life in prison is now serving that time in a minimum security work release facility.
Way 31 uncovering brand new information in this case. Matt Crossville, the only reporter in Crossville, talking with law enforcement about Officer Stevie Thompson's murder and his killer, Danny Roland Tucker.
He joins us live now at the Crossville Police Department with the very latest. Matt?
This murder happened September 13th, 1986. That is when that officer pulled over a suspected DUI driver right here in Crossville, a very small town up here in Sand Mountain. What happened next? Well, the suspect was able to use the officer's own gun to shoot that officer in the head. Skip ahead to the trial. The suspect was convicted of murder, not capital murder in this case, due to a technicality. And so that means the suspect was able to avoid a possible death sentence or a life sentence with no parole. So he is sitting in jail now with the possibility of parole. And the community here, they're continuing to watch this case closely and seek real justice for that officer.
I saw 3 or 4 trooper cars coming from Dawson, and I knew something had happened.
Every September 13th, Crossville Assistant Police Chief Jack Clayton comes here to a small memorial to lower an American flag and remember a friend.
He was a funny guy. He was fun to be around. He didn't care to tell you what he thought.
The murder of Officer Stevie Thompson made front-page news in 1986. And over the years, people have moved away. Some memories fade into the history books. A blurry photo of Thompson is all we have now. But for Clayton, finding justice isn't over, even with Officer Thompson's killer convicted and in prison.
He killed an officer. He killed a brother. Not something that you just turn your back on.
Clayton makes it a point to be at every parole hearing to ask the board to keep Tucker locked up.
Police officer just like everybody else. There is a separation, but thin blue line represents not much.
Tucker's eligible for parole since the jury back then decided the officer wasn't officially on duty when he conducted that traffic stop, even though he was in his patrol car with his uniform on. It's a jury's decision that still gives Clayton pause.
He went to work one day and never came home. He never went. When we go on duty, we clock in as 10:41, and when we go off duty, we clock as 10:42. He's never 10:42.
As the flags here wave a little lower on this day, September 13th, Clayton wants Officer Thompson to be remembered as a father, a lawman, and a man who cared about his community. An officer on a mission to make sure Thompson's murder isn't forgotten. I have been asking questions of the Alabama Department of Corrections about this inmate and this case for the last week, and within the last 30 minutes I received a statement from them saying that they explained how inmates are picked for different facilities and the reason that he ended up in this minimum security facility instead of being somewhere else. They say that because of his situation, he is not eligible for work release right now, but he is eligible for parole. Another hearing is scheduled for him next year in August. We are live in Crossville. Matt Crossville, Way 31 News.
Thanks, Matt. Officer Thompson left behind a wife and daughter. Weeks after his death, his wife gave birth to the couple's second daughter. Assistant Chief Clayton says he still stays in contact with her to this day, a commitment to the family left behind.